All right. Hey, everybody. It's me, Karina Loves to Plan, and I have Simona here from Simone on YouTube.
Hi, it's so nice to be here.
So, we decided that we would create a video talking about what our goals for the San Francisco Pen Show were, what our fears and anxieties about the show were, and then on Simona's channel, we're going to end up talking about what we were glad we did and what we wished we could have done differently, and maybe any other tips that we could give for the San Francisco Pen Show. But basically, I was so happy to meet you, Simona, at the show, and you were rushing off to your appointment with Kirk at Pen Realm, and you
Right,
looked like you were a deer in the headlights when you were running by me.
I was so nervous about that because it was like right when the show was opening, and I just I have never been had never had an appointment. So it's like, does he like just get other people and take my spot if I'm not there right at the minute? I didn't know what to expect at all. So yeah, that's when you caught me.
Yeah, so it was one of those, like, you were focused, but I was like, no, I have to say hi before she goes. But then I'm glad we caught up, quite a few times after that. So
Yeah.
okay, so our goals for the show, and I know you did a whole video on like your wish list
Yes.
on what you wanted to do, and I did something similar where I had actually on my phone the uh, vendors that I wanted to visit, things that I wanted to try out, and things like that. So for you, what were your goals for the show?
I had two things I wanted to accomplish. Basically, I wanted to talk to specific vendors, and I know we chatted about that before because it's something to go and test a pen. That's and that, but it's something totally different to go as a content creator and trying to make connections that go beyond the show. And I was super nervous about that. I filmed the video, I think 2 weeks or even 3 weeks before the show. And then a week before the show, I had a total nightmare. Like, I woke up, I couldn't sleep. I was super anxious. And that's when I decided that I need to step back from those expectations and just see what happens. So my expectation of myself, not anybody else put those on me, were to talk to, I think, 3 different companies. And then I wanted to test all the nibs that I listed in that video, all the pens, and take a look at those. Yeah. So I wanted to talk to Pilot about their 15 nibs that they had sent to the Pen Addict, and who else? Mike from Inkdependence. I thought that would have been a cool thing if I could do that too for my audience here. And I actually talked to them, but I think I need to follow up and like ask, hey, I talked to you at the San Francisco Pen Show. How about? I wanted to talk to Esterbrook. That didn't go as planned. I just couldn't find a way in. Like, but since I let go of my expectations before I even went, I just said, I don't care. It's fine. Whatever happens, happens, and whatever doesn't. And since I filmed my videos for 30 Inks 30 days, I've noticed that I'm not really sure if I'm the best candidate for being an affiliate, because I'm very frank about my feelings about everything. And
But I
I
think
don't
that's
know
why
if
people
that's
appreciate you, though. I think that's why people appreciate your channel and are attracted to your channel and love your videos.
that might be correct, but I don't know if a person who wants me to share something because they want to sell it, if that is very attractive to them. So I'm okay. I did what I wanted to do, and I think I was okay. So what were your goals?
I had a whole list on my phone, and one of the things that I did end up paying for that all access pass so I can get those 2 extra hours early. And I think that helped me because I did maybe like 2 rounds of the whole show in that 2 hours before the crowd came in. So that helped ease my anxiety. But what I wanted to do with the show was, I wanted to try the pilot nib, specifically soft fine and the falcon, but I also wanted to try the extra fine in the vanishing point, and I got to try those. I got to try the Pelican M800 and I loved it. So it is now something that I'm hoping to buy in the future. I wanted to try the needlepoint by Kirk of Pen Realm, and that was a beautiful one. So that's again now something on my list for the future. I ended up actually buying from him, and I don't know if you did. I think you might have, buying his special San Francisco Pen Show nib.
Yeah,
did you buy?
I got a special grind on that nib.
And what did you get on that one?
Cursive smooth italic left oblique.
I love a cursive smooth italic. They're so good. But yeah, it's such a cool nib. It's such a cool nib. And the fact that he did special, just a special design on the nib as well. It's very, very cool. I wanted to also look for Atelier Lusso, which is one of the pens that I did buy. But with his table, with Eric Sand's table, I think I visited him about 4 times before I finally decided to buy the pen. Because I was in, after that first 2 hours, and then after everybody came in, I was in decision overwhelm. It was just so overwhelming to see everything and then to try and make a decision from seeing everything. It was very overwhelming. I then saw Clarissa at the Leonardo table, and I got to try the Momenta Zero, which I really like the size of. So another pen to add to my list. And then I also wanted to try the Heinz Pen Company. And I met Jim, I met Francisco, and I met Jenny, and they were all really lovely. And I think they saw me about 4 or 5 times throughout the day because I kept going back. And then by the end of the day, Jim's like, I knew you were going to get that pen because you picked that up about 4 or 5 times. Yeah, that's what happens.
It's super pretty, and it's definitely one that I would picture you getting. So
I find it so funny when people say that. It's like, I know your color style, and I think, how do you know? But then yes, we post our pens on YouTube, and people get to know our style over a while. But also I was speaking to, I think it was Rich of River City Penco, and he was saying that when he watches people make a decision when it comes to pens, he can see some who make a decision right away, and he knows when people find their pen. And then other people need to come back about 3 or 4 times to talk themselves into it. That's really interesting to be able to observe people do that at a pen show.
Yeah.
Because, it's really interesting. But I also I got all the pens ground that I wanted to. So I got my Pelican M400 ground, all done by Kirk Spear. So I got that ground, my Sailor Pro Gear Slim Monyo Nuts, my Le Bon Rosa, and my F3 pens. And he did them so quickly that I'm like, I should have brought more.
I did not know what to expect from that. And so originally I just thought, I'm going there, I'm having him grind that one nib that I already pre-ordered from him, the San Francisco Pen Show nib, and that's it then. So I need to make I need to know what I want, because that's my only chance. And then Kristen, another friend, told me she got 4 pens ground in the 30-minute slot. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to take? Okay, where was I? The pens.
Grinding of your pens.
So the night before, she said she got 4 pens ground. And so I took all the pens that I wasn't really happy with me to the show. Yeah, that was a good experience. So I would definitely go back and try other nibmeisters, but I don't really know what. Maybe just tuning, because it's definitely different having a tuned pen than just one right out of the box.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I enjoyed about being able to go to a nibmeister, is that you get that immediate feedback from them. Like they hand you the pen, you write with it, and then you tell them, oh, it actually needs a little bit more, and then they just do it right then and there rather than mailing it off and waiting for it to come back after 6 to 8 weeks. And if it comes back to you, you're not sure if it is actually correct. So being able to see a nibmeister, I think, was one of the more valuable things that I did at the show.
Yes.
But
So
yeah. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say one more thing. I had a whole list of things that I wanted to try, and I did work through that list, but at the end, towards the end, I feel like next year I need to start at the bottom of that specific list and go from the bottom up, because I don't really remember how. I know that I liked the M800, but which nib size, I don't remember. I don't even know where I wrote that. I went with this tiny notebook to test all the pens in there. Maybe 25% of the pens that I tried are in here. The rest, I don't know what paper I used and where that.
I have my B6 Galen leather notebook, and I wrote it all in here as well, like all the different nibs I tried and things like that. And then I thought I was going to fill this more with inks and everything, but I didn't actually even go to the ink testing station. It was one of the things that I thought I would do, but it was, funny enough, was more interested in going around and talking to different people. But that was also the thing that I was very anxious about and terrified about, was going and talking to people like we talked about. It's the not necessarily talking. Oh my gosh, now my dog is going crazy. Can you hear her?
Yeah. That's okay.
But I remember I didn't have necessarily the same goals that you did in terms of talking about affiliates and things like that with certain companies. I just really wanted to get to know people first. And I didn't really approach the bigger companies for that purpose. I think spent more time with smaller companies, like with Rich from River City, PenCo. I spent a lot of time at the Atelier Lusso table and with Heinz Pen. I spent some time with Clarissa at Leonardo. I spent way too much time at the Jonathan Brooks table with his family, trying to sort through all of those pens. So for me, it was still going out of my comfort zone and having that type of conversation with people. But what I found, and actually what Drew Brown said that summed it all up, because he said he's an introvert too, but if he's with the right group of people, instead of those types of conversations taking energy away from you, it actually fills your cup. And that's how I felt about those conversations, is that it helped lift me up rather than tire me out. Although I was very exhausted by the end of the day because I talked so much. Yeah, it was physical exhaustion more than mental exhaustion because of all the walking and going around and everything. But yeah, the thing that I was the most terrified about didn't end up being that scary for me in the end. Yeah.
I did not talk to many of the small makers. I don't know why, just happened, but I talked to many of the people that were there as visitors, just like we were. And that was the same thing. It was never really awkward. You always had a topic to begin with to talk about. And so even if you just said, oh, what did you get? And that was the opener for every conversation. Or what are you going to get? Where are you going next? And all this. It was so nice to have those connections with the people. And that I agree, that was definitely one of the best things about the show, to talk to people who understand how crazy we are.
Yeah. I mean, and you were there for Sunday as well. So I only had all day Saturday, but you were there for Sunday as well, right? Did you find Sunday different from the Saturday?
Yes. But I think that if you stay at the hotel and you have the pen show after dark experience, that is similar to what I experienced on Sundays in the morning. Last year I went to the Bay Area Planners meetup, and this year I went too, and that's where I was able to talk again, not to the people who exhibit, but more to the other guests about their experience, what they did the day before, and what pens they picked up and all that. And it was a very quiet environment. It was very chill. So that was really cool. I met Carola and we chatted there. And I hadn't remembered from looking at the map that River City Penco was there. But when she showed me her nib holder, I remembered, and I decided to go back in and check him out.
Yeah, I had met Rich and his friend Warren. Curl and I had met them at the hotel on Friday night, and then saw them again on Saturday. I actually had dinner with Rich on Saturday night. And those are the things that I didn't expect, to just be like, well, let's go out for dinner. Okay, let's go and have dinner here. And those interactions and those spontaneous hangouts. So I think it was Saturday night that I saw Drew Brown and CY hanging out in the lobby building a model.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that, it's great to see all of the vendors, but those are the things that I think make the show and the community and the interaction. So I was really nervous about, I say I didn't go really on my own, because Carola and I had planned to be able to go together. We stayed in the same hotel. She was a few rooms down away from me, and the last time she and I had actually seen each other was in Toronto for the Planners Gonna Plan conference last year. And because there was no PGP conference, we both said, all right, let's go to San Francisco for the pen show. And having a friend like that who is going to the show for the same purpose as you, and knowing that we had very similar shopping habits, like we could shop together, but then at certain times it's like, okay, go do your own thing, I'll go do my own thing, and we'll come back in an hour. That helped to really ease my anxiety.
That's yeah.
So, but also, like, Carola was so popular. She's like, I know you and I know you, and I'm like, I don't know some of these people, but Carola is going to introduce me.
Yeah.
So, but overall, all of the things that I felt that I had goals for, and the things that I had feared, like I think I accomplished what I wanted from the show for the little time that I had there. And then the fears and anxieties that I had about it really didn't come to fruition. That like everything that I was scared about, everything that I was anxious about, was nothing that I needed to worry about when I was actually there.
I have a question for you that is not on our list, but I just remembered when you said you went to Atelier Lusso and you came back, and so you went with a budget.
I did.
And did you stick to the budget?
No, I didn't. I had a budget, and I went over the budget. By the time I came home, I looked at all of it. I went over my budget by about $300 US. Which, when I look at what I wanted to purchase, I was very conservative with my budget, very conservative. And I felt like next year, when I do go, that my budget is going to be bigger, which means I'm going to start saving now. But I did go with a budget. And I also, when I shop for pens anyway, not just at a pen show, but in general, I have a process that I go through for choosing pen. Like, it'll be something I've seen, and then I really have to consider, how does this fit into my collection? Is there something that I already have? How is the price? And, does it really give me that feeling of, oh my gosh, I have to have this? And that's why that process normally takes me, a good week or so to go through, whereas at a pen show, you don't have that time. Which is why it took me maybe 3 or 4 rounds to come back to Atelier Lousteau to finally make that decision. And also lunch. I had to have lunch first before I could make that decision.
So your budget next year is going to be higher, you said, if you're
Yes.
going. Like, let's just assume that you're going, then your budget would be higher. Would you spend less on other smaller things? I don't even know. Did you spend money on smaller items, or did you just, like, I got paper, I got inks because I thought I needed them.
Mhm. I didn't buy any inks just because I knew that I wasn't checking any luggage, so I had to be very careful about the liquids I was bringing back. And then Pam gave me a ton of inks.
Same.
So
Yeah.
and thankfully they all fit in my carry-on, so I didn't have to buy any inks. In terms of stationery, I looked at all of the stationery and sticker shops and the stamp shops, but that wasn't what I went to the pen show for, so I didn't focus on them as much.
Yeah.
I went around to look at them after I had done my big pen purchase. I think the way that my mind worked was that before I made a pen purchase, I was only focusing on the pens that I wanted to go and look at. I didn't want to distract myself by anything else because my budget was for that big pen purchase. And then once I made that big pen purchase, then it was easier to just walk around and take everything else in.
Mm-hmm. That sounds okay. Yeah, that's a nice strategy though.
I didn't come home with a lot of like other stationery items. I did buy, I went to the Yoko craft table, and I mean, there wasn't a lot left, but I knew I couldn't bring home one of those beautiful pen cases anyway. I just wanted something that showed off his craftsmanship, and I bought this, and it's beautiful. Fits in my suitcase, but also it's just so nice to have on the desk. And this was not part of the budget, but I knew I needed to buy one.
Yeah, sometimes you know that you need to buy this even though it's not in the budget. Yeah.
What was that for you? What was that for you?
So basically, I mean, my budget was quite big, definitely bigger than any budget I have ever had before. And basically, I did not account for the fact that tuning nibs would be quite expensive, which, I mean, that's justified, but I just did not take that into account. And so I kept in mind what I was spending for physical product, but somehow that first purchase that I did when I went to the pen show, that just slipped my mind. And I think the purchases that I didn't have to make, but that I made anyway, were this pen case here. This one. I've been looking at the 10 pen cases for a long time, because I have a 20 pen case as well, but I use that for storage. So in everyday life, I'm not really using that. And so I thought 10 would be cool, because that's about the amount of pens I have inked. So I got that, and I'm happier with it than I thought. So sometimes these purchases that just are made are actually paying off in the end. But I really like this one. The only thing it doesn't really fit is the Benno Euphorias. Those are just so fat, so it doesn't.
They're beautiful. I love it. They're just so fat.
They are, like, yeah. So yeah, but everything else fits in nicely, and it's not even a color that I would gravitate towards. This is more a color that you're you like, but yeah.
That's funny.
I even like the
I think
color.
they had other ones. Didn't they have like the new ocean or no? They had like a new ocean one, the teal one that looked
Yes,
really
they
pretty.
did, but not when I went to purchase on Sunday just before I left. They had 3 colors left, and that was one of them. Yeah. But yeah, no, even though I went over budget, I'm really happy with what I purchased. So yeah.
Yeah. And I have to agree that, you know, with what I purchased, even though I did go over budget, I'm really happy with what I had brought home, like the two pens. Like this one, my Heinz pen, I completely blame Francisco and Jenny for this. And then when they brought out the matching Pepto pink nib, I'm like,
Yeah.
done, sorry. And then I also managed to somehow convince Corolla to get one too. She got her own. So,
Nice.
but I mean, for me, it wasn't just about the pen, but it was also talking to the people at that table that made the whole experience. Because how often do you get to speak to the makers of the pen? You know, so that, I think that was the highlight for me, was being able to speak to the actual maker and know the person behind it.
I assume that it's also because you talked to them so much and because you enjoyed their company so much, you went with a pen from them instead of getting another maker pen.
I think so. Like the overall experience, and because I was a repeat visitor, they probably at one point thought, like, is she ever going to buy a pen? Like, seriously, she's been here how many times? And, you know, in the end that I did, and funny enough, Jim said that was the one I had seen you pick up how many times. And every single one of those times I was saying to myself, I've already bought my pen. I don't need this one. And I came home with it.
Nice. Nice.
Well, we have been talking for almost, I think, maybe 25 minutes, and I think we can head over to your channel and start discussing what we were glad we did, what we wish we would have done differently, and any tips for future pen shows.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so thank you guys for watching my channel. Head over to Simona's channel to catch the second part of our video.
Yeah, and thanks for having me on your channel.
Bye-bye.
Bye.